All right, how's everyone doing? Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show, Mastering Self-Confidence. I changed the name, and what's interesting is I'm not always going to be talking about confidence, but I kind of want to help anyone who lacks confidence. So we just changed the name. My buddy Robert came up with it. So I'm going to experiment, see how it goes. I kind of like it, though. So what I'm going to get into today is actually thanking everyone. If they've been listening to my podcast, my YouTube videos, if they've been following me for like the last 20 years, I first made a couple films. And making those films, now that I look back, I really want to thank anyone who was a part of creating my films with me. Family members, friends, actors, producers, cinema photographers, editors. I'm not going to be very specific naming people, but if you were a part of that, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I look back and say, my God, thank God I didn't when I had the energy to do that, because I could never see me doing that again, especially back in 1999 to 2005. So if you ever do want to check out any of my films, you can. Sore Losers, my first film, is on YouTube, and then Insanity, you can go on Google. So just put Insanity, the movie, my name. But if you were involved with that or supported that, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. And then I ended up going to work with Full Sail. I've recently been just meeting different kids, younger guys, excuse me, because a friend of mine, Robert Beninati, he's been shooting videos for his real estate website. You might want to check it out, 365 Realty. And I've been meeting a lot of young guys again, because I did a video game, actually, based on my second film, Insanity. And I love those guys. Team 913, super cool kids. They ended up creating a video game for a master's program, and it went on to win Best Independent Video Game at the San Francisco Independent Video Game Festival, which was really awesome. And maybe one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. Making my two films was insane that I accomplished that. But when I worked with those young kids, they changed my life forever. Even though I didn't hang out with them a ton, but it was just incredible, because we created the video game, or they did. I don't want to throw myself in that category. They created it in a year. And then we went for I don't know if it was like part of the master program, and we went to Enzion Theater. If you know what that is, it's an independent theater in Winter Park, basically Orlando, Florida. And there were like a couple hundred people there, and then they got to display the game, and this is a pretty big team originally. I don't know how many at the end, but a lot of the people from the school were there, the parents, their family members, friends. I was blown away. I kept tearing up, because I was just so proud of them. It wasn't because they took on my project, but just for me on the flip side to be a part of that. I just love that. And I kind of never looked at the arts, that's not even, the same way again, because, I remember listening to Quincy Jones always talk about stick with the youth, right? Learn from them. And I goof around and call myself a millennial, which I know I'm not. But I love working with the youth. They're inspiring. They have a lot of energy, and they teach me things that, they just teach me so many different things. So then I went on to write a couple books. And if you've been a part of either one of those, or read them, or gave me a review, positive or negative, whatever, thank you for doing that, really. And, I want to thank my editor who helped me with those books. And just throughout my entire life, my daughter, who I really based the first book, The Model Bible, on, but also just my whole life of being involved with, I guess you could say to a certain degree, the fashion industry, which included my family members, because the book's all about knowledge, and everybody who kind of came into my life gave me that knowledge for me to write a book, and kind of people to help give me the confidence that I could actually write a book, because I never thought I would do that. And then when I wrote my second book, Wingman, I don't know if that was for ego purposes, but because I look back, I go, wow, you must have had some big balls to write about, thinking that you can help men, a guideline to help them find the woman of their dreams after you being divorced. But I really looked at that and thought about and said, wow, I didn't read a lot of books, and same with my Model Bible book, both books taking a real honest approach on success and failures. a lot of books that I always read were all about success. Sure, they would kind of tell you their backstory and how they failed or how they became homeless and then they pulled out of it. I almost felt like that was all scripted. I'm not saying their lives didn't go that way, but it had a formula, and I kind of wanted to turn it upside down and say, fuck all that. This is what I went through, but I'm here to, I want you to read it. I guess they're both self-help books. It wasn't just about helping them. It was giving them a perspective on what I thought other people around them might be going through as well, and that's what I went through. And sometimes when you read something or when someone's teaching you something, it's kind of, I guess you could say it's about them, which is fine. I kind of wanted to be about everything and everybody. A little different approach. Not even sure if it worked that well. I did get a lot of good reviews, and I should throw in I helped co-produce with a friend a third film. I wouldn't even say I tried my best to help him. He shot a lot of it at my house, Crockdale. Dan, a super cool kid, learned a ton from him. So I should throw that in there as well. But after my books, I kind of hit the wall. I started to not know what to do. I was writing screenplays after, a bunch of, my production partner, we worked many years on trying to create a slate of films and raise money, and we kind of failed. We did fail. It's not the economy kind of got rocked, but we just didn't do things correctly. And sometimes you just got to say, hey, either you don't have the money or resources, you just failed. Life's about failing too. That doesn't mean you got to quit, but a lot of times you fucking fail. So it is what it is. And I went on to kind of be lost for a while. And I was thinking, hey, I kind of want to do a podcast. I just didn't really know how to go about it. I was traveling a ton. I knew you could do it but the way you set it up, I didn't want that part of it. For the first time, I just said, hey, I want to be the talent. I don't want to necessarily just be the guy behind it. I don't want to be in charge of, like when you're making a film and I was writing it and then I had to produce it and you're directing it and you're in the editing room. I kind of took on too many roles, and I think taking on so many of them actually hurt every project I did. But when you don't have the money or resources to do a lot of things and you still want to get it accomplished, you kind of do whatever you got to do to get it done. But when it came to the podcast, my engineer, Omar, a young kid, again, from Full Sail that I ended up connecting with, it's just weird how this worked out because he kind of set up my podcast and he kind of showed me what I should do. And I first was going to do a comedy-based one and interview all my craziest, funniest family members, friends, and colleagues and everybody. And I just couldn't get to it because I was always traveling. So he just said, hey, just start talking kind of like Bill Burr style. We're just go on rants, talk shit. You have a lot of knowledge. People, I think, like it. I like it. Maybe, other people would like it as well. And then he said, since we're doing that, let's kind of do a YouTube channel too. Maybe. And we were just saying this is what we could do in the future. But a friend of mine was saying, hey, why don't you create one of these programs? You're all about, when anybody ever talks to you, all you want to do is help give them confidence to be who they want to be or go after what they want to go after. You don't want money from them, which is weird. You don't want even, you're not like out at that point in time like consulting. You just want to help consult them, or help coach them in what you know. It wasn't too about business. I think a lot of people always gear everything to try to kind of get something out of somebody financially. And at that point in time, and I still think I'm kind of stuck not doing this correctly a lot of times, is charging people. But it was just genuine. I just genuinely wanted to help people, and I wanted to help a lot of young guys or whatever. I knew it would come to grooming, fashion, dating, all these different types of things that would always come to me. So he said, create a program on helping build confidence, and it would be, and I said, well, that's, I get that, but how much I'm going to sit around and look like a douchebag talking about confidence 24 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He says, well, we got to spin it off your book, Wingman, about you helping men, again, trying to find the woman or women of your dreams. So I created a program with my engineer, Omar. He did an unbelievable job. And then he says, we don't have any really content on you. So back to you with this podcast. Let's do the podcast and let's do the YouTube video like we discussed. And I said, oh my God, I got to sit here and talk in front of the camera. I'm not doing it. I said, I am not. Who wants to look at a bald, middle-aged dude? I know I don't. So he said, well, let's just start off when you travel. Just shoot some videos. I'll show you how to use iMovie. Make it simple. And I told him I have to make this as simple as possible. I don't want any bullshit. I'm not going to sit around and make this into a big fucking production because I'm not going to do it. He's like, I could set this up. You don't have to. You shoot yourself or whatever you want to shoot when you travel, your favorite gyms, Italian restaurants, coffee, whatever the hell you want to do. You want to talk about fitness, do a gym tour, whatever. Because he noticed when I go on Facebook a lot of times, I would post things and I'd get a lot of comments because I was all over North America. So I would post certain things. And he's like, dude, you already kind of have that audience flowing. Just take it to the next level. So at the same time, we kind of created both. So now I'm in the middle of creating this program, then a podcast, then a YouTube channel. I never expected to be in front of the camera regarding YouTube. And I just discussed this recently with Robert because he's been doing some of my podcasts with me. And we kind of look at the analytics on my YouTube and I'm like, I can't believe that people watch this video that amount of times, or people are how many hours of footage, I guess you could say, and even downloads now with the podcast, because I got to say, I really thought I'm not going to say I thought I was going to fail. I just never knew that I could really build up an audience beyond, say, my Facebook family members, friends, and colleagues. And I do know a lot of people, or maybe even LinkedIn as well, or Twitter. But sometimes when you create something, you think it's only going to be like, really, in my opinion, 10, 15, 20 people. That's kind of how I looked at it. Maybe I'd get some other people maybe here or there. But anyone out there, man, if you're following me, I truly appreciate it. Good or bad, if you like me or dislike me, I get it, right? 100%. And I just thought I would do a video on this. Really, I'm very appreciative, and I'm being very honest with you. And hopefully if you've ever reached out to me, I've always tried to respond in one way or another. If I didn't, I could assure you most likely I didn't see it. But, you know, regarding, it's weird to say a fan base or your followings or whatever the case may be. I don't look at people that look at my stuff like that. I just look at you as human beings, and I've probably learned more from everybody out there than maybe they're learning from me, because I try to incorporate everything that I'm talking about a lot of times on my podcast and YouTube into things I've learned from others. So you're all kind of a part of who I am. So I just thought I would do a podcast on this, but I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I've had nothing but really, I've had some funny comments. I've gotten in some funny arguments, actually. I will bring this up, and I'll wrap it up with this. On YouTube, I just got a recent one, because one of my most watched videos, like I said earlier, or maybe I didn't on this podcast, I may have forgotten, but one of them was I did a tour inside Mall of America, and it's got a massive, for me it's massive, but two things happen on that one that's funny, because when you start getting so many people going to one video, you're going to get people fighting with you, not fighting you. One guy wanted to start an argument and a fight with me. I think there's a chicken fillet in there. If I videoed it, I'm trying to remember, this is so long ago. He started arguing with me over there's not a chicken fillet there when I videotaped it. It was just hilarious. And I started going back and forth with him. Then recently, another guy said, when did Bill Burr start doing mall tours? I couldn't stop laughing at that either, because a lot of my buddies used to call me Bill Burr. Let's not get ridiculous. Bill Burr, extremely talented on many different levels, well beyond me. Not only with stand-up, the dude plays the drums, he flies helicopters, he's an actor, I think he does a lot of things. But just funny when people compare you to other people that you don't know. Funny stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you want to check out my website, it's just richcelenzapodcast.com. You can find everything on there. What am I on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. My program is masteringselfconfidence.com. And my books too. You could check them out through richcelenzapodcast.com. Like I said, my movies I'm all over the place if you Google my name. So I'm gonna wrap it up there. Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.